Right, ladies, we'll get started, shall we? Now I've got you all together and not throwing anybody out anymore. Just going to mute the sound off and then it'll go on to my picture. Oh, it should. There we go. Right, ladies, so let's get our posture set first of all. So I can fully see. That's perfect. Right, ladies, so in our set position, we can get everything loosened up and then set into our correct posture. So your heels under your hips, just give your knees a little wiggle and then allow your knees to stay soft. Now just notice that your toes are light and you're letting your weight sit through the heels and the ball of your foot. And that's where we want to keep the weight throughout the class. Hands down by your thighs, and as you breathe in, you're just going to grow a little taller, flip it through the crown of your head. If you're like me, you might have a little bit of extra curve in your lower back, so we're going to try and get that loosened off first of all. We're going to breathe in, and with the out breath, just a little tuck under with the tailbone, and in the in breath, allowing the back to arch. Now as we're working through our lower back, we're trying to keep the rib cage nice and still. As you feel your tailbone scoops under, you should feel the back just lengthens a little here. Breathe in through the nose, and then breathe out through the mouth. Now aware that as you let your back arch, you don't push those ribs forward. So we start to feel the upper abdominals holding the rib cage in place. You get the feeling of your hip bones pointing up to the ceiling and then gently down to the ground. Let's give me a couple more here. Try and make sure your chin is gently tucked in so the head's not dropping forward with the shoulders. And this time as you come into your tuck with your bottom, you're going to draw the belly in, almost lock that position in here nice and strong. Just some shoulder movements first of all. Taking a breath in. As you breathe out, you turn your palms to the side and then a breath in to the centre. And as you rotate your palms to the side, get a little stretch across the front of your shoulders. Now feel that when you turn your hands out to the side, the movement comes from your shoulder blades squeezing together. Now again, you're trying to get your neutral spine, so that little tuck under with the bottom. Because sometimes when we try and get that shoulder squeeze, we actually end up pushing the ribs forward. So the ribs stay down, shoulder blades squeeze together, a little breath in, and then the out breath. And just give me a couple more here. So we're just starting to release the chest, and that's going to help to keep the shoulders back in line with the ears. And stay here. Now pull your shoulders up, pull them down, and push out to the sides. So first of all, you're pulling your shoulder blades into the back of the ribs. And as you push the arms out to the side, you're keeping your shoulder blades drawn down into the ribs. Now again, aware that your weight's through your heels and the balls of your feet, and your toes are staying nice and relaxed. And give me a couple more. And one more time here. You're going to hold this time at the top, turn your palms up. You're just going to lift your right arm and then down. And your left arm and down. Now as you're lifting the arms, you're keeping your palms faced up to the ceiling and you're trying to make sure the ribs don't move. So again, the weight's still even through the feet, and each time you pull the arm down, you're squeezing the shoulder blades down into the back of your ribs. And one more each arm. And your last one here. And then turn your palms down and bring your hands to your thighs. Let's move into side bends. So we just gently slide the hands towards the ankle. Shoulders should feel a little freer now. Your weight staying even in both feet. And you give your bottom a little squeeze. That's going to help to keep the hips nice and still. So your hand physically slides down to the outside of the knee. Still not gripping with your toes, but keeping the tuck under with the bottom. Using the in breath as you ease down, and the out breath as you rise. Now we're going to do a couple more there to each side, just feeling the movement comes through your waist and lots of stillness through your hips. And then your last one. And we stay here. We float the arms forward, pull the shoulder blades back. We're going to come into our rotation, that bow and arrow arms. So just let the elbow come past the rib and then push the hand forward. Then your left elbow, turn your head to the left and then into the centre. Now that constant feeling that you're pulling the crown of your head up to the ceiling and you're almost creating space between each vertebrae. Because if you let the back round, it's hard then to get that rotation. So you're lengthening the whole way through. Now from here, as you pull your right arm back, you're going to open to the back of the room and then you're going to close into the middle. So your left arm pulls back, open, and then close. Breathe in, and then breathe out to close. Now that awareness through your hips, they want to stay really still. Little squeeze the bottom to help stabilise the hips. And a nice big breath out as you close the arms. Try and let the eye gaze follow the hands, so you get all that lovely rotation through the neck at the same time. One more each side. Nice stretch as well. And then you're going to rest both hands down. Just give the shoulders a little roll. Draw them back into the ribs again. Keep your palms facing in. I'm going to come to our heel raises. So just your right heel lifting, and you're gently going to place the heel down. Now we have our tailbone tucked, so we're aiming to keep our hip bones facing forward. And as you move from one foot to the other, you're trying to make sure nothing above your hips move. So if I can only see you from here and above, I shouldn't be able to tell that you're moving your legs. As you lift your heel, just let the weight come onto the ball of your foot, and again don't grip with the toes. You're breathing out through the mouth to lift the heel, and a breath in to lower. Feel like the crown again is pulling up towards the ceiling, so you've got the length into the back of the neck the whole way through. We're going to work with the opposite arm. So as your right heel lifts, your left arm lifts, and then we bring it back down. Breathe out as you lift the heel and the arm, and a breath in to lower. Now again, we're still trying to keep that neutral spine all the way through. We've got our toe button drawing in towards the back. We've got the crown of the head pulling up to the ceiling, so you're maintaining that length. And then we're going to start to alternate. So as you lift the opposite heel, arm just in line with the shoulder, no higher. Each time you lift the heel, feel the head's pulling up to the ceiling. And as you lower the heel, feel like you've still got that sensation of the crown of the head being drawn up towards the ceiling. Little squeeze the bottom to help keep the stability through the hips. And give me two more on each side. And then we're going to stay with that heel lift. We're going to let the arms have a little rest. You're going to bring both hands down. Place them on the hips. Now you're going to lift your right heel, and then you're going to turn your knee out to the side, to the front, and then your heel down. Left heel lifts, open, close. So you make your right foot really light. And as you turn your foot out to the side, you're trying to keep the hips nice and still. Drawing the tailbone under. And as you lift one heel, try and keep the opposite knee soft. It's like doing a little clam but standing. Use the out breath with the lift and keep breathing out to push the knee out to the side. So again, if you place your fingers in your hip bones, you should feel the hips stay nice and still and they're not twisting off to the side. And two more each side. Tummy connected. Lots of length all the way through the back of your body. And once more each side. And that'll get it ready for later. Do some more hip work when we come to the ground. And then release. So from here, let's take our feet a little wider. Let's come into our squats. Tailbone is tucked under, shoulders are held back. We're going to come down into a squat and lift both arms. And then just bring the hands down as you rise. Breathing in through your nose and then out through the mouth. Now again, keeping the connection to your core. So as you go back into your squat, your hips move back first. Chin slightly nodded in. You've got lots of length from your tailbone to the very crown of your head. Try not to let the head drop forwards. So again, keeping the strength into the back of the neck to keep the neck supported. Little pause at the bottom, reach up the tailbone, then push out the heels. So again, breathe in, hold at the bottom, tuck under your tailbone, and then breathe out to rise. So you should feel that when you tuck under your tailbone at the bottom, that really starts to connect into your tummy muscles. Tuck, and then pull up. Let's have another 4 here. tailbone under, push out the heels, breathe in, tailbone, and breathe out to rise. 2 more. Now we're going to add on those heel raises again, and we're going to focus on not moving our hips. So we're going to come down into our squat, just a little heel lift on your right foot, your left foot, and then pushing up through both heels. Perfect time to stand in front of my feet, Lexi. Now again, when you're lifting the heel, your knee wants to track in line with your toes, and you don't want to feel like the hips push out to the side. So if you feel that's happening, don't go as low into your squat, and just go as low as you can, and keep the hips still as you lift the knees. Heels, knees lift too. Now let's add in the opposite arm. Just like we did earlier, you're going to lift your left arm, then your right arm, and then push through both heels and rise. Re-squeeze the shoulders. So again, right heel, left heel, and then push through both heels. 2 more. Breathe out through the mouth and in through your nose. Out through the mouth and come up tall. 1 last time. So hopefully you're starting to feel the thighs. And come up straight. Release the shoulders again, give them a little roll. The good news is the rest of the work's on the floor, but it's not going to be easy. Alright, so let's start on our back. So we're going to come down into a lying position. We're going to get nice and comfy. And as we come down to a lying position, we're just looking for our alignment first of all. So the ear, the hip, and the ankles in a nice straight line. Tuck in the chin. Give your pelvis a little tilt backwards and forwards just to find your neutral spine. And then you're going to settle midway between those 2 points. So you've almost created that square again between your ribs and your hips. Turn your palms in and cork through your shoulder blades into your spine. Back of the neck nice and long. And we're going to come to our arm pullovers. And all we're going to focus on as we come to our pullovers is not allowing the ribs to lift away from your hips or your lower back to lift away from the floor. Just a gentle breath in as you reach the arm back, and then the out breath on your left. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. So take a little pause at the back as you breathe in, breathe out to left. Now keep the chin tucked in so the head's not tipping back. Think about your lower back, making sure it's not lifting away from the ground, and you're still holding that nice, strong, neutral position. We'll come back to the arms a little later. Do your last one on your left-hand side. And then just bring both hands down. We're going to add those arms into our bridges. So we're just going to get our bridges working first, and then we'll layer the arms in. So for your bridges, your heels come closer to your bottom. If too far away when you lift, you'll feel it more in your hamstrings. So once you've got your knees hip distance apart and back into your neutral spine, hands can just sit by the hips. And again, no block behind your head for this one. You want your head resting on the ground. Think about your hip bones. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, try and tilt your hips to your ribs and press your lower back to the floor. And then breathe in, just go back to a neutral position. Now you can place your hands on your ribs here and feel that when you press your tailbone down, you're not letting your ribs pop up off the ground. So the ribs stay still and just the movement into the lower back. Now we're going to roll just that little bit higher. So once your hip bones tilt to your ribs, just peel your lower back off the floor to the first rib. And then press the belly button down to the back and try and press each vertebrae back into the floor. Use the out breath, don't let the ribs go, keep the ribs nice and still. Press the belly button down, do the imprint, and then come back to your neutral. Once more here. So you get that feeling of just working at one vertebrae at a time and trying to place that vertebrae down one at a time. A little higher this time. So once you come to that first rib,
they're going to start to peel through your mid-back to your upper back. You're almost pushing your knees forward over the heels and you're squeezing your bottom. Now sometimes if you have an exaggerated curve in your lower back, you'll feel that you come up to this position and you're forcing your tummy muscles outwards. So again, drop to a position where you've got your neutral spine and that square here. And then start with your upper back. Press the belly button down to the spine. Come through your upper back, keep the chin nodded in, do imprint and then to neutral. Don't let the ribs pop. Press the lower back down first. Roll through each vertebrae. Don't let the ribs flare, but alignment at the top here. Breathe in. And again, you're going to breathe out and gently roll back down. Now you might start to notice that your knees are wanting to wing outwards. So we've got to keep working to keep the knees in line with the hips. And all that means if the knees are pushing outwards is that your outer thighs are a little bit stronger, sort of pulling the knees apart. So we need to keep the work in the inner thighs to keep that knee-hip alignment. And that'll also start to stabilise the knees as well. One more time and we can add in the arms. As soon as you're all looking so good at your heel raisers, we'll probably lay them back in too. Now you're going to bring your arms above your shoulders. Turn your palms in, pull the shoulders right down to the back of the ribs and take your breath in. You're going to breathe out, roll back up through your spine. Squeeze the bottom and keep the ribs still. You're going to breathe in, reach one arm back and then breathe out with your lift. Left arm, breath in as you reach back, out with your lift. Press down through the back of your ribs, roll through your lower back, imprint and neutral. Again, use the out breath as you rise. Take a breath in as you reach one arm back and the out breath with the lift. Now try and notice that your feet don't rock from side to side. And there's no change of weight from one foot to the other. Do you want to try the heels? I'm sure you do, really. So this time, as you reach your right arm back, just lift your left heel off the floor, keep the ball of your foot down, and then press the heel down. Then lift your right heel as the left arm goes back, but don't let the hips rock. And then roll down through your spine. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through the mouth as you rise. Take a breath in, left heel, right arm. Still checking the knees in line with the hip. And think about the hips as you move the heels. Try not to let them rock. So just before you lift the heel, give your bottom a little bit more of a squeeze. So as you lift your right heel, squeeze your left buttock. And vice versa. So start to get a little bit more endurance now through the back of your body. Let's do 4 more, but we're going to stay at the top. If you need to come down between each one, come down. Let's just work with the arms and the heels. Breath in, right arm back, out breath into centre. Left arm, right heel lifts. And again, don't let any other part of your body move. Your shoulders are pressing firmly into the ground. As your left heel presses into the floor, squeeze your left buttock to stabilise as you move. 2 more each side. Nice big breath in as you reach back. Out breath to centre. Thinking about the space between the ribs and the hips. Don't let those ribs flare. And 1 more each side. And your last one here. And then bring it all down slowly. Roll through the back. Tilt your pelvis back through imprint. And then into neutral. And let your hands come down. Okay, let's do our knee lift. So your feet a little further away this time, so they're not too close. And you've got that nice big 90-degree angle through the hips. Because we've got both feet down, we'll come into our neutral spine, so the lower back isn't pressed into the floor, but you're not letting the back arch too much. Again, you find that set position between your ribs and your hips here. Let your fingers rest on your hip bones. So we're trying to make sure the hips don't rock. We tuck back in our chin, and we start with our right leg. We breathe into our nose to prepare. With the out breath, you're going to lift your right knee just above your hip. And then take a breath in, place it down lightly on really thin ice. So you can't push into your right foot. You're going to breathe out, lift your left foot. Breath in, down to thin ice. Breathe out, lift your right foot again. And again, doing this one really slowly with lots of control, you should start to feel a strong connection into your tummy. Just be aware as you lift the knee, the head doesn't want to tip back. And remember, when you lift, you're lifting from the hip, but not just lifting from the knee. The whole leg lifts. So you're always keeping that 90-degree position. Now from here, we're going to add on a leg extension. So once you've lifted your knee, hold here. Extend your leg so your thigh comes parallel. Bring your knee back above your hip, and then gently place the foot down onto thin ice. Left knee, use the out breath to lift, knee at 90. Breath in, thigh comes parallel. Breathe out, knee above hip, and then a breath in as you lower. Try not to let the hips rock as you change from one foot to the other. So you're moving as gently as possible. You're not pressing the lower back into the floor as you lift your knee. But you are getting that feeling you're drawing your belly button towards your spine. Just not pressing the spine into the floor. Okay, let's stay with this leg. Do 4 leg extensions if you can. If one's enough, just do one. Thighs parallel, knee just back to 90. Don't bring it over the belly, just over the hip. Just before the leg pushes away, press the belly button towards the back. Breathe in as the knee comes in. Breathe out to extend. Knee to 90 and bring the foot down. Opposite leg, knee comes above hip, holding neutral, thigh comes parallel. And again, all you're trying to do is keep the trunk of the body really still as we work that leg extension. One more. And then one more set on each side. Again, you can just come back to that knee lift if you feel that's enough for you. Breathe out the lift. Take a breath in. Breathe out, bring the knee just back to 90 so your shin comes parallel to the ceiling. Making sure the neck's still nice and long. Left foot still really, really light so you're not pushing through your left foot. And then lower your foot down. One more time. And again, it's that really slow, controlled movement, but we start to feel that deeper work happening. Use the out breath to extend. In breath to the centre. Right foot still light. And then gently bring it back down towards the ground. Extend your right leg up, take a little hamstring stretch. Press your bottom to the floor. You can hold the back of your thigh. You're going to try and get your knees straight, so squeeze the front of your leg. Press your bottom down to the ground and then pull your shoulders back. Now you can stay here for the stretch, or you can tuck in your chin, lift your head, lift your shoulders and let your hands slide up your thigh. Gently easing the leg back, and as you breathe in, let your ribs lift up a little. And as you breathe out, ease the leg back as much as you comfortably can, just to find the stretch. Try not to let the bottom lift off the floor, plant the bottom firmly down. That means the leg won't come as far back, but that stretch will stay in the hamstrings. And then bring your leg down. Left leg lifts. So again, you just hold your thigh here. And all you need to do is try and squeeze the front of your thigh, press your tailbone to the floor. You can let your hands slide further up. You can let your head lift. Keep the back of the neck long so the chin's tucked in. Breathe in when you're ready. And it's with the out breath we try and develop that stretch a little further. Try and anchor back into the tailbone. And then gently reach back down. Have a roll onto your side. We can come to our side line position. And again, when we do the side leg raises, even though it's a really simple movement, we've got to really focus on keeping the hips and the ribs still. Once we've got that stability there, all the work then comes from the outer thigh, which helps to stabilise the hips more. So if you need, you can have a block here and your arm forward if you've got any discomfort around the shoulder, or if it's okay, just taking the arm out nice and long. Both legs are nice and straight, and you will find that when you lie down, that top hip naturally collapses up to your ribs, so it kind of squashes this space here. So you're going to try and push your top leg away and create space here. If you look, when the hip collapses, it wrinkles your t-shirt. When you push your foot away, it opens up here. So I'm just going to do 5 of those, just moving the hip first of all. So your hand lightly on the ground. Try not to let the shoulder come forward and stabilise with the shoulder. So we pull the shoulder blade down. Let your hip move up towards your rib. Now push the hip away from the rib like you're lengthening your top leg. Breathe in, pull the hip up to the rib. As you breathe out, push your top leg away as far as you can. You should also feel a little stretch on this underneath side. Breathe in, pull the hip up. Breathe out, push the hip away. And again, breathe in. As you breathe out and push the leg away, can you feel that bottom rib just very gently lifts off the ground? And do that one more time. As you extend your leg away this time, you're going to come into a little lift. Then you're going to bring the leg down, let the hip come up. Push the hip away first before your leg lifts. And then breathe in, slide the hip in. Breathe out, push away, lengthen, and then the lift. Now you're going to point your toes on the way up. Now you're going to pull your toes in and lower down. Pull the hip up, point your toes, lift, pull your toes in and lower. Breathe in, pull the hip. Breathe out, push and point, lengthen and lift. Draw your toes in and ease down. You can let your hand come onto your hip now because we're going to keep the hip here. We're not going to keep sliding it anymore. We've got that sensation, we've got that feeling of the hip being pulled away. And we're just going to work with the foot this time. You're going to point your toes so it stretches the front of your leg. And then as you pull your toes back towards your shin, it brings a mild stretch into your calf. And then you're going to try and squeeze your bottom leg nice and strong. That's going to make you feel wobbly, but you're going to gently pull the tummy in to help keep your balance. Still thinking about the space here. So again, you're not letting the hip move at all now. You've got that constant feeling that you're lengthening and that constant feeling of that bottom rib being lifted. As you breathe out, draw the belly button gently in. Breath in as you ease it down. 2 more. Now we're going to keep our tailbone tucked under. We're going to hold the leg here and you're just going to bring your heel back to your bottom and then you're going to extend your leg out. So you're flexing your foot as your heel comes back and then you're pointing your toe as your leg extends. You're not moving from here. This bit's nice and still. Breathe in slowly, breathe out and lengthen. In through the nose, out through your mouth. 5 more. Try and get the heel to almost touch the bottom if you can. When you're taking the foot back, try and keep the knee in line with the hip. So your knee doesn't move forward, and that's going to help to keep the hips nice and open. Lengthen on the extension. And 1 more time. And 5 side leg raises. Lengthen away and lift. For 5 and down. 4, 3, don't let the hip move. For 2, hold your next one and bring the heel back, last 5. So your knees are stacked the whole way through. There's no movement through your upper leg and there's no movement through the hip. You're squeezing your thigh to straighten the leg. And you're feeling a little bit of heat in the bottom as well, hopefully. Your last one here, and then close down. and have a collapse of the hip. Just let them sink back in.
Right, let's roll over onto the other side when you're ready. No, Daddy. So as we roll on to the opposite side, again, everything we started in our aligned position. We're just going to come to that hip movement first. So again, you can rest your head, you set your shoulder back, little tuck under the tailbone, so again you've got your neutral spine to begin with. Squeeze both thighs so your legs are nice and strong. Think about this bit. Get the hip just a little bit closer up to your rib, and then pull it away, push in. Breathing in, pull the hip up, and then breathe out to push. And again, this is such a nice movement for your lower back as well. Sometimes you're tight on the lower back on one side maybe more than the other, and that can cause a little bit of discomfort in the lower back. So this starts to just open up those muscles, lengthening them and strengthening them. Pull in with the hip, push away with the leg. Adding your leg lift this time, so you push away and lift, and you breathe in, pull the hip up. Remember, as you push that top hip away, you should also feel that bottom rib ever so slightly lifting. Lengthen. Give me 2 more of the hip movement and the lift. And then we're going to stay with the lift, and we're going to come into our foot movement. Draw your toes in and lower. So again, you can put your hand on your hip here and feel that when you lift the leg, the hip doesn't drop up in towards your hand. Almost push the hip away. Now give the tailbone again another little tuck under, and softly draw the belly button back towards your spine. So when you're moving the leg, everything from the hips and above stay nice and grounded. Now don't lift the leg too high, because you won't be able to keep the hips still. Sometimes if you take the leg too high, that hip will naturally collapse up towards the hip ribs. So think length, think breath. Breathe in as you ease down. Breathe out through your mouth. Breath in as you lower. Squeeze the front of your thighs, so again both legs nice and strong. And give me 2 more to the top. As you come to the top on your last one, you're going to bring the heel back to your bottom. Bend from the knee, flex the foot, and point your toe on the extension. Breathe in slowly and out strongly. Don't fling the leg forward. You're a nice gentle squeeze through the thigh. So you're creating a stretch through the back of the leg as you straighten your leg fully. And again, it's a squeeze through the front of the thigh. The more you engage the front of the leg, the more the back of the leg stretches and extends. So don't rush. Slow breath in. Out nice and strong. Hip still away from the rib. Try getting warmer. That's exactly where it should be. And give me 1 more. We're going to come back to our side leg raise, so no rushing. Squeeze the thighs again. Breathe in. Point, pull, and lower. Lots of space between the ribs and the hips. It's getting quite tough about now. 2 more. And your last one. Hold in at the top, flex the foot, bring the heel back to the bottom, point and lengthen. Breathe in through the nose, draw the tummy on the out breath. Only 2 left after this one, don't rush, even though it's starting to get a whole lot hotter in my head. Once more. And again, slowly down. Perfect. Might need to stretch those out a little now. So we're going to come into a seated position when you're ready. So taking a gentle roll up. And as we come up into a seated position, we're just going to bring both legs out in front. Excuse me. Okay, from here, you can just place your right foot on your left thigh. Or your left foot on your right thigh. Do the opposite to what I say. Oh, no, it works. So you're going to anchor your sit bones. From here, you're going to place one hand on your ankle, one hand on the knee. Don't force it down, but just gently rock the knee down to the floor. And as you gently press the knee down, you feel a little stretch through the outer thigh and the hip. Now what we're going to do is tip forward this time and the knees back. And keep the ribs high, just a little hinge forward and then back. So you can press the knee down as you come forward. So it just opens that hip area a little more. And do 2 more here. Gently pressing down with the knee. Keep the back nice and long so your ribs stay lifted. And then hold here. Bring your foot down to the floor. You're going to take the back of your arm onto your thigh, your left hand behind your hip, and just gently rotate. So you're pulling your left shoulder back. You take a little glance over the left shoulder, or your right shoulder if that's the one behind, because I think it just confuses us all. And then now you're going to hold it to the back. Gently press with your front arm against your thigh. Turn the head and pull the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. See if that gives you a little bit more space to turn a little further. And then rest into the middle. Change legs. So whichever way around you had it before, it's the opposite way this time. Mine's my left leg forward and my right foot on my thigh. Well, it's not, it's the other way around, but it's all mirror image. And it confuses me because I have a mirror in front of me as well. It doesn't take much. So again, from here, lift your chest up nice and high. Gently press the knee down, but try not to tip to the side. It might not be a very big movement, but as you gently press down with the knee and keep your left sit bone or your opposite sit bone anchored to the floor, press the knee towards the ground and just hinge forward from your hip. Try not to let your shoulder blades separate as you come forward. So as the shoulders are gently drawn back and down, and you're keeping all that length in your spine, you get a little bit more release into our hips. You also might feel a stretch into the hamstring on that straight leg. Start to press down gently with the knee now as you come forward. Again, just easing in and out of the hips. Not forcing it, not to a point of pain, just feeling that gentlish movement. And one more time. And rest. So this foot's going to come all the way over. You can either wrap your arm, your left arm, around your right knee, or the left arm to the outside of your knee. Your right shoulder just gently draws back and then into the centre. Let the head turn. Think about a massage to your spine. Breathing out with a twist and breathing into release. Pull the crown of your head again up towards the ceiling. Make that spine nice and long. You should feel that stretch into your lower back, maybe right up towards your shoulder. Give it one more. And then rest into the middle. Bring both legs out straight. Pull the sit bones back. Lift your chest nice and high. And you're going to gently reach one arm forward and then the other arm forward, as if you're doing a little swim. Now keep your knees and your toes turned up towards the ceiling and just gently turn into your chest. Let the head rotate from one side all the way around to the other. And keep the chest high as you come forward. You can start reaching the arms a little bit higher. Allow that gets into your hamstrings a little bit more. Or you can keep it low and down towards your toes. 2 more each way. If you ever done a little swim. And your last one. And rest there. Bend your knees. Tuck in your chin and draw your belly back to your spine. Let the head gently hang. Scoop into your tailbone just a little, just to again, just to open up that lower back area, giving that nice stretch through the lower back. And then come forward and lift your chest. Come onto all fours when you're ready. So you're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders, knees directly below your hips. So you want to be in a position where you can lengthen your spine and you're not having to round your back, your knees are too close. So once you've got that position, push your heart forward, draw the belly up to the back and relax the elbows. Just tuck under your tailbone again. Keep the rib cage still. It's just like that first part of the bridge where we just move into the lower back and we keep the ribs still and we just get a little stretch in the lower back and a little bit of connection into our core. Then we're going to roll up to our mid-back, still keeping the shoulders still. So almost just your bra strap area, and then back into neutral. Tailbone first, and then back into neutral. A couple more. And then on your next one, you can come all the way through the spine. Then lower your tummy and push your heart forwards. And then again, draw the belly up and tuck in your chin. Again, let the breath roll through your spine. Once more. Always a nice way to finish. Settle in the centre. Tuck under your toes, lift your knees and step your feet forward. Now you can either let the hands hang on the floor, or if you want support, elbows onto your thighs. Bring the chin in again, so you're letting the head just hang to the ground. Feel like the weight of the head is just lengthening right down to the back of the neck. Draw the belly button up to your spine. You can let the hands come a little lower whenever you're ready. If you need more, just bend the knees to let your hands come lower. Try and gently let your weight rock forward into your toes if you can. Then that stretches the hamstrings more. Big breath in. Breathe out, sink down towards your thighs. When you're ready, bend your knees. Keep the head hung. Start with your tailbone as it gently tucks under. And we gently restack through each vertebrae. You're trying to keep your chin tucked in as long as you can. So we get a stretch through the upper back, into the back of the neck, and then as the head lifts, then the shoulders roll back and down. And we're going to finish with a nice big wrap release. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing. I'm going to wrap my arms. My rapping's probably worse than my singing. Let your weight sit back into your heels. Let the head turn. Let the arms just feel heavy and wrap around your body. And one more each way. And then rest. Roll the elbows back. Nice big stretch through the chest. Pull the elbows down to the ribs. And one more time. And give yourselves a clap, ladies. Very well worked. I think Lexi claps you with her ears at the end when she shakes them. It's like one of the little rattles going on. That's her applause to you all.